Ladies and gentlemen, when someone says, "I hate crowded places," most people mislabel them instantly. They call them rude, antisocial, dramatic, weak, or too sensitive. But psychology doesn't insult people for their reactions. Psychology asks a better question. What is the nervous system protecting? What does the brain perceive, and what story is the body trying to survive? Because hatred of crowded places is rarely about people. It is often about overstimulation, loss of control, past experiences, and the deep human need for safety. For many people, crowded places don't feel busy. They feel biologically overwhelming, because the brain and body treat crowds as a high-load environment. This is not about being weak, dramatic, or antisocial. It's about how the nervous system processes stimulation. A crowd is not one stimulus. It's dozens happening at the same time: loud noise, overlapping voices, sudden movements, unpredictable touch, strong smells, bright lights, fast pace, tight spaces, and constant micro-decisions. Where do I stand? Where do I look? How do I move? How do I avoid bumping someone? How do I find an exit? How do I keep my body safe? When the brain is forced to process too much input too quickly, it shifts into survival mode. Not because danger is guaranteed, but because overload itself feels like danger. The nervous system has one main job: keep you alive. It does not ask, "Is this socially acceptable?" It asks, "Can I handle this amount of input?" In a crowded place, the sensory system is flooded. Your ears are receiving noise from every direction. Your eyes are tracking motion constantly. Your skin is anticipating contact. Your brain is predicting what could happen next. That prediction system is normally helpful, but under heavy stimulation it becomes hyperactive. This is why some people in crowds start scanning for exits automatically, start feeling irritated, start feeling trapped, or start feeling sudden anxiety with no clear reason. Their body isn't being negative, it is responding to overload. Overload shows up physically first. The heart may beat faster, breathing becomes shallow, shoulders rise, jaw tightens, hands may sweat, the stomach may feel off. These are not random symptoms. They are signs of the stress response activating. When your body senses too much stimulation, it releases stress hormones to prepare you for action, move, escape, protect yourself. Even if your mind says, "Nothing is wrong," the body says, "This is too much." This is why people can logically know they are safe and still feel panicked. Logic lives in one part of the brain, survival lives in another, and survival often speaks louder. Some people are naturally more sensitive to sensory input. They notice details others ignore. Sounds feel louder to them, lights feel harsher, crowds feel heavier. This can be linked to temperament, personality, or neurobiology. A sensitive system isn't a flawed system, it is a high-resolution system. High-resolution systems can be gifted. They pick up subtle cues, they notice patterns, they can be creative and perceptive. But the downside is that loud environments become exhausting faster. So when a sensitive person says, "I hate crowded places," what they often mean is, "My system gets overloaded and it costs me too much energy." Another major part of crowd overload is unpredictability. The brain handles stimulation better when it can predict it. Predictability is calming. Unpredictability is activating. In a crowd, unpredictability is everywhere. Someone might bump you. Someone might cut in front of you. A loud sound might happen. The line might move suddenly. A child might scream. Someone might push past. Your personal space can be violated in a second. Even if none of these things happen, your nervous system is preparing for them. That preparation is draining. It's like running a security system on maximum sensitivity for an hour. Eventually you feel exhausted, irritated, or desperate to leave. Crowds also create cognitive overload, too many choices at once. Where should I stand? Which path should I take? Who is behind me? Where is the exit? Where is the bathroom? Are we late? Did I lose my wallet? Did someone touch my pocket? This constant decision-making drains mental energy. People often blame themselves. Why am I so tired? But the brain has been working hard. Mental fatigue then increases emotional reactivity, making the person more likely to feel angry, anxious, or shut down. When overload crosses a certain threshold, the body may produce panic-like symptoms. This can feel scary because it seems to come out of nowhere. But it's not nowhere, it's accumulation. The nervous system has been tolerating input, tolerating noise, tolerating pressure, and then it reaches a limit. The limit triggers the alarm. The alarm is not proof that you are weak, it's proof that you have a limit, and limits are normal. The problem is that modern culture often shames limits. It tells people to just get over it. But the body doesn't heal through shame. It heals through safety and gradual training. Understanding this keynote changes the way you respond. Instead of criticizing yourself or forcing yourself to act normal, you start working with your nervous system. You plan short exposures, not long ones. You choose quieter times in familiar places. You take breaks. You stand near exits. You reduce stimulation where you can, softer lighting, less noise, fewer crowded routes. You use grounding techniques, slow breathing, relaxing your shoulders, focusing on one physical anchor, like your feet, naming objects around you to bring the mind back to the present. These aren't tricks, they are signals to the body. We are safe, we can regulate. Crowd stress is often not about hating people. It's about the brain being overloaded by too many inputs at once. When you understand that, you stop judging yourself, and you start managing your environment intelligently. Because strength is not pretending you can handle anything. Strength is knowing your limits, respecting them, and training them gradually so your life stays free. When someone says they hate crowded places, a huge part of what they're reacting to is not the people themselves, it's the loss of control. Crowds reduce your ability to control distance, movement, timing exits, and personal space, and for many nervous systems, loss of control equals danger. Not because a crowd is always unsafe, but because the brain is built to feel calm when it can predict what will happen next. In a crowded environment, prediction becomes difficult. You don't know who will bump you, who will step in front of you, who will move suddenly, who will invade your space, how long you'll be stuck, or whether you can leave smoothly. That uncertainty can make the body tense before anything bad even happens. Personal space is not a luxury, it is a biological boundary. The body has an invisible safety zone around it, and when strangers enter that zone, the nervous system wakes up. In a crowd, that zone is constantly violated. People stand too close, brush past you, breathe near you, touch your shoulder, hit your bag, step on your foot, even if it's accidental. To a calm nervous system, these are minor annoyances. To a sensitive or stressed nervous system, these feel like repeated intrusions. Intrusion is not always about violence, it's about not having a choice. The body's message becomes, I don't have room. And when the body feels it doesn't have room, it starts preparing to escape. This is why many people in crowds instinctively look for exits. They scan for open space. They choose seats near doors. They stand near the edge of the room. They avoid the center. This is not weird behavior, it's the brain trying to create control. Control doesn't mean controlling other people. It means controlling your own options. The ability to leave is calming. Even if you don't leave, knowing you can leave lowers anxiety. When the brain senses, I'm trapped, it increases stress. Trapped can be physical, like packed into a bus, or psychological, like feeling you can't leave without being judged. Either way, the nervous system reacts the same: increased heart rate, tight chest, shallow breathing, irritability, urgency, and sometimes panic. For people who value autonomy, crowds can feel like the opposite of freedom. Autonomy means, I choose my pace. A crowd forces a pace on you. Autonomy means, I choose my distance. A crowd removes distance. Autonomy means, I choose my environment. A crowd becomes your environment whether you like it or not. That can feel like invasion, not because someone is attacking you, but because the environment is stepping on your boundaries. Many people don't realize how much they need autonomy until it is taken away. Then they suddenly feel angry, tense, or desperate to leave, and they think something is wrong with them. But it's simply a boundary reaction. Loss of control also amplifies overstimulation. When you can control the environment, you can regulate your input, you can step back from noise, you can find quiet, you can slow down, you can breathe. In crowds, those options shrink. If the noise is loud, you can't reduce it. If the lights are harsh, you can't change them. If the space is tight, you can't expand it. When regulation options are limited, the nervous system becomes more reactive. This is why crowded places often trigger irritability. Irritability is not always bad mood. It is often the body's protest. I need space, I need control, I need relief. For some people, this control issue is connected to their history. If someone grew up in a chaotic environment, unpredictable adults, sudden anger, emotional instability, criticism, or lack of boundaries, their nervous system learned to crave control as safety. Control becomes a way to prevent harm. So when they enter a crowd, old wiring activates. This is unpredictable. I need to protect myself. The person might not even know why they feel tense. They may just say, I hate crowds. But underneath is often a nervous system that remembers what it's like to not have choices. There's also a cognitive layer. Crowds increase the fear of something going wrong. You worry about losing your phone, losing your wallet, getting separated from your group, being misunderstood, being embarrassed, not finding an exit, not finding a bathroom, getting stuck in a line. Even if none of this happens, the brain is running scenarios. This is another attempt to gain control, predicting threats in advance. But prediction can become exhausting because your mind is constantly rehearsing problems. So the crowd becomes mentally heavy, not just physically uncomfortable. The healthiest approach is not to shame yourself, it's to restore control in small ways. Choose times when places are less crowded. Stand near edges. Plan a simple exit strategy. Go with one trusted person. Set a time limit. I'll stay 20 minutes, then I can leave. Wear comfortable clothes. Reduce physical discomfort. Use grounding techniques. Slow breathing. Relax the jaw. Keep your gaze steady. Feel your feet on the floor. These are not weakness tools. They are nervous system tools. They tell your body, I have options, I have control, I am not trapped. So this keynote is about boundaries. Crowds often feel unbearable not because you hate humans, but because your nervous system hates losing choices. When you understand that, you stop fighting yourself, and you start working with your need for space, autonomy, and control in a way that protects your peace without shrinking your life. For many people who hate crowded places, the crowd doesn't feel like a gathering. It feels like a stage, and the brain reacts to it as if it's being watched, judged, and tested. This is where social evaluation and sensitivity to energy become powerful psychological triggers. The person may not even be thinking, everyone is looking at me, but their nervous system behaves as if exposure is happening. In a crowd, there are more eyes, more faces, more unpredictable reactions, and that increases the feeling of being visible. Visibility can feel exciting for some, but for others it feels like pressure, because visibility activates the fear of embarrassment, rejection, or misunderstanding. Social evaluation isn't always conscious. It can be subtle, the body tightening when people are close, the mind becoming busy, the urge to act normal, the sudden awareness of how you walk, how you stand, what your face is doing, where your hands are, what to say, how loud to speak. These thoughts are exhausting because they multiply. One person might create mild self-awareness. 100 people can create intense self-monitoring. Self-monitoring is the mental habit of constantly checking yourself. Do I look okay? Do I sound okay? Did I do something wrong? Am I being weird? The more you monitor, the less you relax. The less you relax, the more awkward you feel. And that creates a loop. Anxiety makes you stiff. Stiffness makes you feel noticeable. Feeling noticeable makes you more anxious. Crowds also contain social rules that are hard to predict. Where do I stand? How do I move without seeming rude? How do I pass through without bumping? How do I respond if someone stares? How do I handle random small talk? What if someone I know is here and I have to talk? The brain starts planning too many social possibilities at once. Planning is an attempt to gain control, but in a crowd, you can't control outcomes, so planning becomes overthinking. Overthinking drains energy and increases stress, because the mind is trying to solve problems that haven't even happened yet. Now add sensitivity to energy, and the experience becomes heavier. Some people don't just hear words, they feel tone. They don't just see faces, they feel moods. They pick up irritation, tension, impatience, aggression, fake smiles, subtle competition, and they absorb it like a sponge. This sensitivity can come from temperament or from learning. Many highly sensitive people grew up in environments where they had to read adults carefully to stay safe, noticing tiny shifts in mood, predicting reactions, adjusting behavior. That skill becomes automatic. In adulthood, a crowd becomes overwhelming because there are too many emotional signals to read at once. The person isn't being dramatic, their brain is simply working too hard. Crowds also create emotional unpredictability. You might walk past someone angry. You might hear a loud argument. You might feel pushed. You might see someone staring. You might catch a sudden aggressive vibe. Even if nothing major happens, the possibility is there. And for a sensitive nervous system, possibility is enough to activate stress. The brain's protective system says, stay alert. Alertness is exhausting. When alertness lasts too long, the person starts to feel irritated or drained, and they may describe it as, I hate crowds, when the deeper truth is, my nervous system can't rest in crowds. Another factor is the fear of social mistakes. In a crowd, small mistakes can feel larger. You bump someone, you trip, you spill something, you can't find where to go. You stand awkwardly, you don't know how to respond. For someone who has social anxiety, the fear is not the mistake itself. The fear is the shame after the mistake. Shame is the emotion that says, I am defective. So the person tries to prevent shame by controlling behavior perfectly, and perfect control is impossible, especially in crowded, unpredictable environments. This is why crowd anxiety can make someone feel trapped, because they're trying to manage too much at once: their body, other people, social rules, and their own thoughts. Sensitivity to energy also explains why some people prefer small gatherings. In a small group, they can track the emotional temperature. They can understand what's happening. They can settle. In a big crowd, they lose the ability to read the environment clearly, because there are too many inputs. That uncertainty feels unsafe, so they prefer spaces that allow depth, calm, and predictable social interaction. It's not that they dislike humans, it's that they dislike emotional noise. The most helpful shift is to stop labeling yourself as weak and start treating this as a nervous system skill issue, something that can be supported and trained. You can reduce self-monitoring by grounding attention in the body, feeling your feet, relaxing your jaw, slowing your breath, focusing your eyes on one stable object, reminding yourself, I don't have to perform, I can just exist. You can choose environments that match your capacity: short exposure, familiar places, quieter times. You can go with one safe person. You can plan small exits. Each time you do this, the nervous system learns being seen is not danger, and crowds are uncomfortable, but survivable. So this keynote is about the psychological weight of visibility and emotional noise. Crowds can trigger overthinking and self-monitoring, and for sensitive people, they can feel like absorbing too many emotions at once. Understanding this helps you respond with compassion and strategy, instead of shame and avoidance. Sometimes what looks like, I hate crowded places, is really the nervous system saying, this environment feels like a threat, and that feeling can come from trauma, burnout, or learned safety patterns, even when the person cannot point to one clear memory. The body learns through association. If a crowded space once included panic, embarrassment, harassment, getting lost, being trapped in a line, being pushed, being yelled at, or even just feeling helpless, the brain may store crowds as a danger cue. Later, the person walks into a busy market or a packed event, and the body reacts first: tight chest, fast heartbeat, shallow breathing, dizziness, irritability, an urgent need to leave. People often blame themselves because they think fear should be logical, but the survival system doesn't run on logic, it runs on pattern recognition. Trauma doesn't always mean one dramatic event. It can be repeated smaller moments that taught your body, too many people equals no control. It can also be childhood environments where you learn to stay alert: unpredictable adults, sudden criticism, loud conflict, emotional volatility. When your nervous system grows up scanning for danger, crowds become a perfect trigger because they are full of unpredictability. Even if nobody is actually judging you, your body behaves as if judgment is coming. Even if no one is actually threatening you, your body behaves as if threat could appear any second. That is not you being weak. That is your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do: protect you. Burnout creates a similar reaction because burnout shrinks your capacity window. When you're well rested, stable, and regulated, you can handle more stimulation. When you're exhausted, stressed, underslept, overworked, or emotionally overloaded, your tolerance drops. Sounds feel louder, lights feel harsher, people feel closer, waiting feels unbearable, and patience disappears. So someone who used to handle crowds might suddenly feel like they can't. The body is not becoming fragile, it is becoming honest. It's telling you that your resources are low. Crowds demand extra resources: attention, social processing, sensory filtering, decision-making. When your tank is empty, even normal environments feel like too much. The key psychological shift in healing is moving from shame to understanding. Shame says, I'm broken, I should be able to do this. Understanding says, my body learned a protective response, I can retrain it. Retraining does not mean forcing yourself into massive crowds and hoping you get over it. That approach often backfires because it overwhelms the nervous system and teaches it, see, it really is dangerous. The nervous system learns through repetition of manageable experiences, not through punishment. Think of it like building strength in a gym. You don't start with the heaviest weight. You start with what you can lift with control. The goal isn't to turn you into someone who loves crowds. The goal is freedom. Freedom means you can choose, you can go when it matters, leave when you want, and stay regulated enough that fear doesn't control your life. You create that freedom through gradual exposure, small crowds first, familiar places, short time limits, clear exit options, and one safe person if needed. You let your body learn, I can be here for 5 minutes and nothing bad happens, then 10 minutes, then 20. Each successful experience is a new data point that weakens the old association. Compassion is not softness, it is strategy. A nervous system calms when it feels supported, not when it feels attacked. Before entering a crowded place, you can set yourself up to succeed. Choose a less busy time, plan parking or exits, wear comfortable clothes, keep hydration, avoid too much caffeine if it spikes anxiety, and decide in advance. If I feel overwhelmed, I will step outside for 2 minutes, and that's not failure. That last part matters, because having permission to leave reduces the feeling of being trapped, and not trapped is one of the strongest calming signals the brain can receive. Inside the crowd, regulation is physical first. Slow your breathing slightly, drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw, feel your feet on the ground, keep your gaze soft and stable instead of scanning wildly. Give your brain one anchor, the feeling of your shoes, the weight of your phone in your hand, a specific object you can see, a simple phrase you repeat. I'm safe, I'm allowed to take space, I can leave if I choose. These are not magic words, they are cues that shift the body out of alarm mode, and when the body calms, the mind calms. If crowds trigger you because of past experiences, it also helps to separate. Then, from now, your body may be reacting to an old chapter. The environment resembles something that once hurt, so the body prepares as if it will happen again. Each calm, controlled exposure teaches the body a new truth. This is not the same situation. I have more power now. I have options now. That is what healing looks like in real life. Not a sudden personality change, but a gradual return of choice, a gradual widening of your capacity, a gradual shift from panic to steadiness, from trap to free, from shame to self-respect.